Welcome to the Preacher and the Cowboy. This is our first episode. We'll have Dwight here. He's going to be taking the lead today, and we're going to be talking about having civil conversations or discourse. And with that being said, I want to welcome you here. Hopefully this will be a worthwhile endeavor for all of you and all of us, because obviously we want you to spend some time with us and as we have these numerous conversations. Because actually the whole idea of this podcast is a preacher and a cowboy, me, and we're going to have different conversations. We have areas that are of great interest to us, and we want to share that with the community, and at some point get your input. When you subscribe and give us your reviews and things like that. So without further ado,
hey,
it's on you.
You start off pretty stiff there. I'm like, oh, we got to be a little more free talking about me. I was gonna be stiff, but again,
I'm not stiff. I'm relaxed. I'm not sitting here. See, this is how this is gonna go. Okay. So he's got a script. I don't.
I just like to be informed. So if you see me fooling with my papers and stuff, I'm just referring to some facts so that you'll know. But just today's podcast, we're going to be looking at can we still have civic conversation or civil conversation? It seems that everywhere you look, you can look at the politics or social media or television or just even around the family dinner table. Civic conversation is becoming harder to find. And when it comes to me, I'm always going to point to the leader of our country, which is Donald Trump, which I think he has conversation has just really been just torn apart. Can you talk civil to friends anymore? I don't know, because we're at a point where, if you're a Republican or I'm a Democrat or whatever, if you're a different belief system than me, it's like gotten to a point where people can't even talk to each other anymore. And so I think that one of the reasons why we're talking about this is, can we have conversation and still, after everything's done, respect each other and walk away, still friends and still, say,
I love Donald Trump. I love Donald Trump
goodness.
Bad gas and lower gastrointestinal distress.
I was like, wow. You were getting ready to throw me for a loop there when you said you like Donald Trump. He's still the president. You give him a little respect, but still, he has done things just not presidential. So I'm just, I don't know.
And I think that would be a good, and I think that's a good lead into what, you're taking the lead on as far as civil discourse. Because he lacks that.
He does
considerably, and
just earlier this month, he gets on television with what's her name, Christy
Welkin.
Yeah, Christy.
From Meet the Press.
Yeah, from Meet the Press. He gets on and she's talking about challenging his election claims, and during the exchange, basically he walks out and calls her crooked and stupid and it just seems almost just like, do you have a more of a vocabulary than calling people stupid or crooked or crazy and those kind of things? And I think one of the reasons why he does that is because he has no defense of some of the stuff he does. He just does stupid stuff and then expects people just to accept it.
We know he's not as bright as he pretends to be. And here's one of the things that come to my mind about the president. And that is, most of us, when it comes to our credentials and our transcripts from where we went to school, we're proud of, because we got the degree, right? So we're proud of it. I have no secrets about, letting somebody see my degree and what grades I got. Were they stellar? No, here's what I'm leading to, because, he went to...
He went to prestigious schools.
Well, yeah, but you know what? He has those records sealed because he doesn't want anybody to see how stupid he really is.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Well, for me, grades don't mark how smart or stupid you are. I think it does mark how much effort you put into such situations. Again, I think he has no real understanding or fundamental understanding of what the policies that he's promoting. I think he's just a sounding board for other people who give him directions. You know, I come up with another example. He was at the Freedom Coalition event, and Trump refers to Democrats as godless communists. And so, you know, what kind of president is going to call fellow Americans godless communists just because they disagree with what he says? And so I think he sets up the environment in which America is now responding. You have people in America who can't have civil conversations. I watch the news often and other podcasts where you have two different opposing opinions about anything. It could be religion, it could be any topic that people disagree on. It just gets nasty and personal. And I think the reason why it gets nasty and personal is because people see that's how a president responds. And so at some point we got to go beyond what he's doing. I mean, I think, for example, one of the good example is Michelle Obama when that wrestler gets on and he wins the match and he calls Michelle Obama a man, but how she responded classy, right? And so I think you can, and there are still examples in the United States that, you know, we can follow that, you know. And now, I'm not the best example of this, but, you know, oftentimes, you know, she said, you know, when people, you know, push you, you know, you have to rise above it, and those kind of things. But, you know, sometimes I do follow the president's example. He gives me, you know, I respond in kind. You disrespect me, I will disrespect you. But again, there are examples in the United States and people with our politicians, you know, there are people who do respond. And I think the reason why many of our news reporters, because I watch news reporters and they ask them questions and they call them, you know, all kinds of names, and they don't respond back in kind, is because of the office. They still have that fundamental respect towards the office, you know, because a lot of times I'm like, how come these reporters aren't just saying, you're an idiot back, you know, or, you know, it's just oftentimes seems just so. And I seen our vice president on The View the other day, and Whoopi Goldberg was asking him some really poignant questions about the racist policies that the Trump administration has been putting into place, and how the administration has been taking African American history out of the public arena, taking things down, you know, all the kind of stuff. And he just basically gave a non-answer answer. And again, I think because he was a vice president, Whoopi Goldberg and the other, you know, interviewers, you know, still have a fundamental baseline of respect. And because if it was me, I would have said, man, you're a liar. You are a liar. You're lying and you think we're stupid. Do you really think we're that stupid that you're not even answering the questions and we can see the evidence of what your administration is doing? You don't think we know? And he's just like, well, Whoopi, what are you talking about? Where has the administration been racist? It's like, and she tried to give a list of things, and he just basically ignored it.
Yeah. You know what I find really unique? I'm usually, like, you and I disagree on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that's one reason we're doing this podcast. But, you know, the thing, speaking of Vance, you mentioned about, you know, he's just a talking, you know, he's a puppet for the president. But what I find interesting about that, his woman is brown.
Yeah. Well, and they mentioned that on The View.
She's an immigrant. And how is it this guy could have these views and support a man in office?
Because I think he cares more about advancement of his career and gaining money than he does about having any moral backbone. And I think that's where the real rubber hits the road. Where is your morality in all this?
And the thing that troubles me too, I think he's also a veteran.
Yeah, he's a veteran. He was.
I've got to.
Because he wrote this book, so he talked about his life.
Book.
So
because he grew up in Ohio and all this. I heard it. I didn't read it. Don't want to read it. Maybe I should. I don't know. Get a better understanding of how crooked he really is. But as you know, but like I was saying, the thing I thought was interesting, in fact, is here this guy is supporting, you know, all these messed up policies by the president, and then he turns around and he's married to a woman who's brown and who's also an immigrant.
Yes.
Or is she, or maybe
no, I think she grew up in California, Southern California.
Okay. But she's okay. So the daughter of, most likely, and I can't say this with any certainty, but most likely a daughter of immigrants or a granddaughter, somewhere around there, because her name is a dead giveaway. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That and then she is Indian, right?
Yeah.
So all of that. So then, you know, I just think it reeks of it just sucks.
Yeah.
He's
He's not a genuine person.
No.
I don't think anyone in the administration is. Well, I think they are genuine about their hatred towards anybody that doesn't look or sound or talk like that. I mean, that's just my opinion. But I do think, there are examples of, people still being civil. And I think at the base of most Americans, they do have the fundamental framework of what it looks like to have a civil conversation in public, and even amongst family members. I think we're still there. I think we're at the verge of things changing.
I would say it changed because
changed?
Civil discourse is going out the door. And I can speak personally on some issues where you can't say anything without somebody being offended.
But okay, so then what's the difference between standing up for yourself and just being disrespectful then?
Well, there's a difference.
Okay, so then what's the difference? What's the difference?
The difference is you can disagree with someone, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and you and I have had numerous conversations where I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I just don't agree with it,
Yeah.
right? Plain and simple.
You're probably wrong.
Huh?
Because you're probably wrong.
Well, that's what you say. And I would say, no, it's not that I'm wrong, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think, I know that I don't know it all,
Mhm.
okay? I know a chunk of something because my degrees say I know a little bit about something.
Yeah.
But that being said, is we have our ideas, we bring our experiences to our what we think is right and wrong, things like that. We bring a lot to that, and those are in a lot of ways our truths. But that doesn't mean it is written in stone, that it's concrete, right?
Yeah.
Because I can have discussions with you, and sometimes I wouldn't say they get heated, but they get loud. They get
But what makes it disrespectful?
Well, when you're calling somebody stupid, or you're ignorant and you don't know what the hell you're talking about,
So
that's where it becomes disrespectful.
The personal attacks.
The personal attacks, yeah. When you're actually putting that other person down. Well, as far as I'm concerned, the discussion ends. It stops right there.
Yeah.
Now it becomes
an argument.
It becomes an adversarial situation.
Yes.
And and then that could get dangerous.
Yeah.
So, but if you respect the person you're talking to, you can say, I disagree with that. Or even you've heard me say.
But is there information sometimes that you say to someone that you don't disagree?
Oh, I know where this is going.
So do you think it's offensive? It's like if you don't agree with what I'm saying, does my words, because it disagree with you, does that make it offensive?
From experience, I would say in our case, no. I've never. Maybe once you said something to me that I was actually offended, and I let you know that right away, and that stays between you and I.
Yeah.
But other than that, a lot of times we have these really heated conversations, but I never, other than in one particular occasion, felt that you were being disrespectful. Because I know sometimes you just like to provoke. Just for the sake of argument, right?
Because I also like to have people think about an issue from many different angles instead of this one narrow way.
Well, that's you. You think it's a narrow way, but there are more ways to look at it. There's more than one way to look at it.
Yeah. So, but the definition of narrow is looking at it one way. So, if you're looking at it one way, and I'm saying, well, there are many ways to look at something, then I'm opening it up and said, okay.
Right, but some of those ways to look at, okay,
are offensive. That's what you think are offensive. That's
no, they just don't make any. No, I wouldn't say offensive.
See, you're getting ready to say it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they don't make any sense to me, and that's what I would say.
But sense is sense.
Well,
if it's logical.
We've had conversations where I was being logical. See, this is the whole point about having a civil conversation.
Well, yeah.
Now even we're talking on this.
But have Americans become too easily offended? That's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah.
Because some of the stuff I say, it's like, well, no, this is not right. It's like, well, why are you offended by it now?
No, does that mean that? No. See, I wouldn't say that they're being offended. They don't agree. There's a difference.
But does non-agreement means offended?
Not necessarily so. Because there's discussions you and I have had, right, where I didn't agree, and we were both rather verbal about it, but I never felt offended.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't feel like you were being offensive. I just didn't agree, and we would go back and forth until somewhere, somehow, one person's proven correct, or we come to some kind of compromise.
Yeah. Or we just decide.
Or we decided we
it's not
agree to
gonna
disagree.
It's
Right.
not going to agree. So,
Yeah.
you know.
So,
Because I have students all the time who may not, I had a student in my class, and I can't talk because y'all probably students try
you want to get canceled?
Yeah. But, what he was saying in class made sense, but the way he was saying it was offensive to people. And so one of the things I had to tell him after class was, okay, yeah, what you're saying about this particular group is true, or it can be true, or there's some truth in it. But you can't be in the classroom saying it the way you're saying it, because the way you're saying it is offensive. So a lot of times it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And oftentimes, one of our friends, she oftentimes says to me, your tone is displaying to me that it's aggressive in a sense. And sometimes I take issue to that, because I was like, okay, just because I'm a big black guy, and if I have my voice louder, then I'm aggressive.
I hear you. Well, getting loud is one thing, and sometimes you do that because that's another way that we try to make sure that we are heard.
Well, yes.
So what do? We speak over the person. I have a bad habit, I must admit, that I tend to cut people off, and so I try to make myself more aware of that and listen to what people have to say. So I'm not cutting the person off, because that can be taken as rude.
Yeah.
But sometimes what it is I get excited, when I respond.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what the same as me. It's not like I'm trying to be rude or talk to somebody. It's like, okay, before I forget my point. But again, effective communicators is they stop and listen. They don't listen to respond. They listen to learn. And then if there's a response in the learning process, then so I guess I'm guilty of that. It's because I'm like, I want people to know my point. And I think that's what we see in the media all the time, those kinds of things.
I think also when you're talking about tone, and I've had this happen to me, and some people don't understand my tone either when I'm talking, and been accused of being condescending.
Yeah.
And that kind of blows me away, because I don't.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. I'll just be honest with you. Sometimes your tone and tender is condescending, and sometimes when my response to your responses to me. And the reason why I get loud or I get snippy or whatever, because the response to you is like, well, if he's going to respond to me like that, I'm responding kind.
But I think so. That with that being said, I try to be mindful.
Yeah.
But I just talk. I just say what I feel I need to say.
Yeah.
But there's never any intention of like, oh, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
So I'm. You have to listen to me.
Yeah. But
I never.
But again, the same mutual friend that we have, she always talks about how your intentions and your impact are totally different.
Totally different. Yeah.
So you not only got to be mindful of the impact of the things that you say to people, even though your meaning may be totally different than what someone receives.
Yeah.
So and I'll have to get used to it too, because sometimes it's like, no, I didn't really mean that. Why are you being so sensitive? But part of being a good communicator is being able to pick up the clues when somebody feels offended by what you're saying. And I think, but the social media, the algorithms, I think they push people towards
controversy,
conflict, because that's what triggers people to listen and to view. So I think we're being subconsciously trained by the computers or social media is to communicate in that form, right? Because even in podcasts, they create conflicts so that people can be interested in what's going on. So social media, I think, helps really understand each other, and oftentimes further divides us, because the remark that was put on by that wrestler on Michelle Obama. One of his responses, because I was looking for the responses for this podcast, and I was even going to play a part. But one of the things he said in response was, it was a joke. Why is she so sensitive? That's what I do, right? And I'm saying, well, yes, that may be what you do, but what you do offends people. So you should be mindful that you can't say things like that and expect that people is going to take it as a joke.
Well, I don't look at it. I never thought of that as a joke. I think that was it was intentional.
Yeah.
So he can impress the president, because obviously he's a fan of the president. And I think for him to say that it was a joke was just a bold-faced lie.
Well, and I think it was what they call it, a whistle call or whatever to other people who
A dog whistle.
Dog whistle, which to all the other mega racists out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna say it. I think they're just racist to the core. That was a dog whistle saying, okay. And I mean, you just get the context of where it was in the White House, where all these people were. I mean, I seen one podcast. They said it looked like a Klan rally.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, all the people there celebrating, his birthday in the White House,
Mm-hmm.
and everything was so, homogeneous for the most part. It was just like, So I think he was feeling comfortable in his space. And he felt comfortable saying those things because in that context where you have that many people gathered together with that same kind of mindset, that was just a dog whistle saying, hey, you know what? We're on top of the world right now. We're at the White House doing this major event, and now we could say basically or do whatever we want to do. And I think that's what really hit a nerve to a lot of people, and online, it was this discussion for maybe 2 weeks about what was going on,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think,
But they got the effect that they wanted.
yeah,
Because it went viral instantly.
yeah,
So, and that's the effect that granted social media has, and I think there's a lot of issues. I have a lot of issues with that because just about anybody can put anything out there and it can go viral if they say the right thing.
yeah.
In most cases, something that's going to be provocative, and we have a lot of provocateurs out there. So,
Yeah. No, but I mean, yeah, to some point, I mean, that makes life interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of times, I push discussions, and people I'm with to get people to think, and so that's why. So, but have we really lost the ability to agree and disagree and respect each other at the end? I think that's the main whole point of our discussion today is like, can you really disagree with someone and respect them?
yes, I think you can.
So-
you can actually disagree with somebody
So
and respect them because,
do you disagree with our president?
well, I'm sorry, we can't use him as an example.
Okay.
Because I don't respect him.
Okay.
I mean,
So that's what I'm saying. So okay. So what? Okay. Let's say.
there's 3 things he can do that would make me very happy.
Okay, we're not gonna say it because we don't want you in jail. We're gonna leave that alone. Okay, let's take some.
One starts with an E, the other starts with an S, and the third part starts with a D.
Okay.
ESD.
Okay.
Figure it out.
Okay. Okay. So, but let's say a mega person who believes in make America great again. I mean, and
Oh, here's yeah. Do I want to go that far?
but do you respect? I mean, at the end, can you disagree with what they're saying and respect?
I disagree with their politics,
Yes.
Yes.
But okay. But
but on an individual level,
yeah.
okay.
But
Okay, I'll put it this way to answer that question. Yes, there is someone who politically we're at opposite ends, right?
Yes.
But I love him to death. Okay, I'd give my life for this person if I had to, right? Because regardless of politics, right? One of the best people I know would give me the shirt off his back, right? He would
Yes.
do anything for me. So
Okay, but I guess I'm looking at it from a different point of view. Like, for instance, if there was those mega people or those people who are just who don't like people who look like me, sound like me, talk like me, right? Or have my skin color. At the end of the day, do I respect them? No, because they don't because their ideology does not respect me.
okay, here's another example I can give you, and it's one of my Navy buddies that I have a conversation with on a weekly basis with our Zoom group, and he's a Trump. Okay, and so in order to deal with that, because I think if there's any other Trumpers in the group, they don't ever bring it up,
Yeah.
but he does. But we've learned we have an agreement, right, that we don't talk politics.
Okay. So I guess
So, because we do have a commonality because we were in the military.
Okay, so let's take it out a little bit further out there.
Okay.
Do you respect people who don't respect you?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So if there's somebody who's the mega love America people who, by their ideology, by their policies, they set up policies to put me in places that I shouldn't be in, or they take jobs from people who look like me. I mean, the Trump administration, they come in, it's what? I think it's up to, 600,000 women, black women, or unemployed. He comes and systematically gets rid of anybody of color. Mm-hmm. This is a policy of Trump in our armed forces.
Yeah.
He
just got rid of actually, an interesting thing that you said it. There was a woman who was a three-star admiral. And she's in charge of a lot of the Naval Reserve. She was in charge, and she was a white woman. Mm-hmm. 59,000.
Yes.
Okay. And they just dismissed her.
I think I see it. But
and she's now right. I think in South Carolina. She won the Democratic primary for that.
See, and
she just pivoted. You know.
So, but the question is,
fired it.
So
without cause.
So then the question is, can you respect people?
No, I can't respect that.
So the civil part of civil conversation is you don't have to respect someone or their ideology or what they think to live in harmony with them, right? Because I mean, I never did, and I still don't. I mean, you know, a racist is a racist, a bigot is a bigot, whatever. Mm-hmm. But there was a time where you kept your bigotry to yourself. Mm-hmm. Now it seems like it's an environment where people can just say and do whatever they want to do. And so, and it's not like you want people to hide their bigotry in a sense, but I'm still of the era. It's like, okay, I know you're a racist, you know I'm a racist. Or, well, I'm not a racist, but you know I'm a racist, and I know you don't like me, but keep that to yourself. And so then we can live in harmony. I know you hate me, I don't like you, but we can live in harmony. But now we put it in an environment where you show me that you don't like me. Mm-hmm. You create policies saying you don't like me, and now I'm still supposed to live in harmony with you. Doesn't make sense to me. That's why I'm saying that's why civil conversation and civil getting along makes more sense to me.
Well, but it's kind of hard to be civil when people are trying to trample on your rights.
Well, yes.
Your human rights, not just your constitutional rights.
Yeah.
But your human rights, and trying to, take away your humanity. That's a problem.
Well, yeah.
And sometimes at that point, civility just goes out the window, because at some point you got to fight back.
Well, yeah.
You know, but where's the tipping point? That's what we got to figure, because we've seen things that happen in this country where it's like, how much of this are we going to take?
Well, yeah.
Because
they're erasing our history. They're taking away our jobs. They're pushing people out of the country that don't look like them, and then they force people to come in.
It's not just against blacks, though.
Well, no, I'm not saying just me. I'm saying Mexicans, or Hispanics,
Asians,
anybody, yes,
brown. If you're an immigrant, you're in trouble.
So it's just like, where are we coming
to? They want to take it back to like the McCarthy era, or even further back to Jim Crow.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. So at some point, but maybe that's what they want. Who knows? Maybe they want to, incite a war, a civil war.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do. I always used to say when I was in college is that European mentality. Of colonialism and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know me, I always like to bring it back to religion. I believe, one way that people can be civil as they conversate and live amongst each other. James 1:19 says that everyone should be quick to listen and slow to speak and slow to become angry. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's very important for us to understand as people, listen, because even in the midst of someone's rant and raving, you can see the humanity, and maybe you can connect to the humanity in them, and I think that's important. And in Ephesians 4:29, it says, "Do not let your unwholesome talk come out of your mouth." And so I think it's important for people to be careful of what you say to people, because what you say matters, and you got to keep that. And then finally, in Proverbs 15:1, it says, "A gentle answer turns away wrath." And so I think a lot of times people say things to get you to see how you're going to respond. and the Bible tells us if you just give a gentle answer, it will decrease wrath. Look, you're already yawning when I talk about religious stuff. You just like, but I'm saying if you go back to your fundamental morality, because if you don't want to talk about the Bible, there are some morals that you need to have when you interact with other people in society, and I think that's important. I think that's the message of this particular podcast today, is that yes, you can live with people that you don't respect and act civilly towards them and have civil conversations even when you don't respect what they say.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So,
I guess, in the last 2 minutes, I would say, when all else fails, punch them in the face.
but there are
Just
times,
knock them out.
well, there are
Call
times,
it a day.
there are times when you want to do that, and there are times where I'm tempted to do that, but
Oh, I'm not a violent person per se, but I think if someone steps over that line, which you saw one time in Santa Monica,
yeah.
it's something like, you just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm one of those people too. I mean, there are certain things, because a lot of times, in general, throughout history, they have used religion to pacify people.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm saying, yes, we as black people, as any kind of people, yes, there's morality and there's ethics and all those kind of things that should sustain you in hard times. But there does come a time when disrespect becomes so blatant that you got to defend yourself.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. So with that being said, I think we're about to end this particular session. Thanks for joining us.
and see you next week.
Yeah, and hit the like button and
Subscribe.
subscribe. This is the Cowboy,
And the preacher.
and we just had a conversation.